Hi, you guys. Wow, it's been a long morning. I'm back. If you saw some of my posts earlier, I got up pretty early this morning to be out to KATU TV station. There's a local TV show here in Portland called AM Northwest. And I was their guest on the show this morning talking about Where Is the Sex Gone? So that was really fun. It went really well. And I'm super excited that they liked it enough that they want me to come back. So I'm hoping that, you know, maybe I could do some regular spots and keep some conversations going around some good stuff that you and I keep talking about, all this dating and relating stuff. So let me just say hi to a couple people. Hi, Christine. Hi, Alex. How are you doing? Who else is there? Douglas. Hi, guys. And then I went from there and I took myself to breakfast and sat and let that kind of settle in. And then I went over to KBOO, which is a radio station here in town, with the lovely, lovely, lovely Della Ray, who hosts a show called Bread and Roses. And so I recorded an hour-long show with her just a little bit ago. We just finished up about a half hour ago. And I think that was just really, really great too. She was thrilled with it. And I'll keep you guys posted. I think it airs on a Friday, not this Friday probably, but maybe the next, but I'll keep you posted. So anyway, lots of fun stuff going on this morning. Hi, Elizabeth. Just fun stuff. And you know, it's fun for me to do. I love to answer questions. I love to talk about all this stuff. Hi, Maynard. But the reason that it feels really important to me is because I am trying to get more information out there and to a larger group of people. It's why I'm booking, you know, myself on these radio stations and these TV slots. It's why I'm going out and speaking in different places this year. I've got a gig that I've set up in Irvine, California. Going to speak at the Spiritual Center down there. I just found out on March 11th. All kinds of things going on. And yes, I do it because it's fun, but it's really, really important to me that I keep reaching more people with these teachings. So that's really fun to think that this morning between the TV spot and the radio station, you're going to have a lot more people who are going to be able to hear these kinds of teachings, this information, all this stuff that you guys have told me, you know, has been so helpful to you. So that makes me really happy. So before I go on, I posted this morning, I woke up this morning, here I am going on this, you know, TV spot, and my eye was infected and swollen and red and puffy, and I was like, oh, awesome. Great. So I'm looking right now and I'm thinking, wow, it still looks like kind of bizarre. Anyway, sorry if it looks really weird. I just can't help it. I'm looking at this for the first time going, oh my God, it looks really strange. So anyway, I really just walked in the door and I just wanted to say hi. I'm sorry I didn't have time to do the usual live stream this morning at 11 o'clock Pacific time, but I do have something that I wanted to touch base on really quick. So, and I have permission to talk about my client. I have a client that I've worked with for, I don't know, maybe 3 years now. Joe Karuba. Man, this guy is a leader already, and he is in his early 20s. I started working with him, I think, when he was 19, and he is just a rock star. He is learning these life skills and these relationship skills and these interpersonal skills at an age, you know, that we all wish that we had learned them at. And it's incredible. He's an incredible, incredible young man. I am so proud to call him my client. I am so grateful to work with him every week. And in a conversation that we had yesterday, he was talking about him being called into a meeting, a group phone meeting to, there'd been some problems with some customers and his company was having a hard time dealing with these people. And at this young age, they called him in to actually, you know, have this conversation, try to smooth things over and see what was going on or whatever. Of course, he did a beautiful job of it. What he said at the very end of this conversation was, boy, Barb, and then one of the things I'm glad that I've learned with our work together is how to notice when somebody can't let go of something these people really wanted to, and then he said, beat a dead horse. And I thought, oh my God, that's such an important thing to talk about, whether we're talking about in business, with colleagues, with bosses, or talking about love relationships, because it happens all the time in intimate relationship, where one person, just won't stop, keeps beating a dead horse and wanting, to bring something up over and over and over again, even when there's been a conversation and supposedly been resolution. So I just want to bring that up. I want to raise my hand. I'm embarrassed to say, but I tell you guys the truth here all the time, that there was a period in my life, in my 20s and 30s, that, man, I did that all the time. I'm sure everybody around me, especially my intimate partners and things, would say that I would beat a dead horse. I could not let go of something. We would talk about something, clear something up, and then I would bring it back up, like to revisit it, to have the conversation again, to make that comment again, to make the jab again, to make a sarcastic remark again. Why do people do that? The reason I was doing it, and why most people do, is fear. What I was afraid of was that whatever this thing was that happened that was problematic or bothersome to me or a big deal and really an issue or whatever, my fear was that it would happen again. My fear was that even though we'd had a conversation, tried to understand each other and clean this up, my fear was still there that this would happen again. That was my stuff. It wasn't anybody else's. I'm the one who didn't have the skills or the tools to be able to just let something go once it's been discussed, once there's been resolution, and that's a really, really old coping skill. That certainly was for me at that time, to just not be able to let go of something. And then it shows up as that beating a dead horse. So I did that through my 20s and 30s. It was tough, and it was tough on everybody around me. Where I noticed, even after I healed a lot of that, where I noticed that it started to come up again for me was with my son when he was a teenager. And probably, again, since it's a fear-based thing, I started to be very concerned that if he had done something that we needed to sit and talk about, and I had a conversation with him, I was concerned whether he was really listening, whether he really got what I was saying, whether he really understood the importance of him not doing this thing or doing this thing or whatever it was. And I started repeating myself. And nothing is more frustrating between parents and kids, between lovers, sorry about that. Nothing is more frustrating than continually repeating yourself, or what we're talking about today, beating a dead horse. Finally, my son, we had a great relationship and we could talk to each other about everything. And finally one day my son said, he was like 15 or something, he was like, "Oh my God, Mom, you're saying it and saying it and saying it over and over and over again. I've heard you. Stop. My God, we've talked about it. Why are you repeating yourself?" And I really heard him. Yeah, thumbs up on that, right? I really heard him, and I really had to ask myself, why am I doing that? I really had thought I'd stop that behavior too. Well, what was going on with Seth was that I was really scared. We were talking about things like drugs or alcohol or parties or, curfews or all those things that were really important to me. And he would look at me, but it seemed like it was a blank look. And he wasn't giving me any kind of indication that he was hearing me. And so we had this great conversation, and I said, you know what? If when I'm talking to you, if you can take 1 minute, stop what you're doing, look me in the eyes, let me say what I'm going to say, and acknowledge it. Say anything. You can just say to me, "Okay, Mom, I've heard you." I will then promise that I will stop. That will be it. I will say it one time. If you look at me and acknowledge you've heard me, I will do my work then to drop it, let it go, and assume that whatever we've talked about, agreed upon, or whatever you've heard, you're going to follow through, and we're done. Wow, if there's one parenting tip I can give you, that was a huge one for us, because as a teenagers and parents, they're trying to pull away from your parents. That's a good thing. That's what teenagers are trying to do. That's what your kids are trying to do. There's already a rub there, kind of an uncomfortableness going on. So you don't want to make it worse by what your kids are saying you're doing is harping on them or repeating yourself or going on and on. So that made a huge, huge difference in my relationship with my son. I definitely encourage my couples that I work with to do that when they're talking about something, to make sure that when you're having a conversation with your friends or with your spouse or partner, or anyone, that you are present, that you are looking at them, that you're engaging with them, and that you're giving the person an indication that you're listening and that you've heard what they've said. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can just simply say, I've got it, I heard you, I understand what you're saying, I can do that. Some kind of feedback that I'm here and I'm present and I'm engaged with you. That's a really important thing. And it's an important thing to do so that somebody doesn't feel like they have to keep beating a dead horse by repeating themselves and repeating themselves. Now, here's what Joey and I were talking about yesterday. A lot of people won't stop. So in this situation, in his work situation, he was on a conference call. They'd gone through everything. Everybody had been able to voice their concerns. Everybody had been heard. There'd been resolution. He'd asked some things specifically of them and made requests. They had agreed to do certain things, and the call really needed to wind down. And one person looped back and just started to bring it all up again. Yeah, well, but the thing is, this is what happened. And you'll find that in business, and you definitely will find it in intimate relationship. So if all of those things have happened, if somebody's been heard, if you've let somebody know that they're heard, if there's been real resolution, and you've got somebody who is bringing something back up, we talked about the skills of how you calmly and kindly, but very matter-of-factly and directly shut that conversation down. It's not helpful to allow somebody to keep bringing things up, beating a dead horse, repeating themselves over and over. That's how, if it's an argument or something, that's how you stay in that loop. So what do you say? And I'm going to look, and I think we've got a couple comments here too. You can say things like, okay, we've talked about that, and we've come to some resolution, and I think we're all clear on that, so I don't think we need to loop back to that again. Or, hey, you know what? I hear you're starting to revisit that. I think we've got resolution. Let's go down a different path now. Or literally in the conversation or whatever, if it's an intimate relationship, to be able to say, you know what? I don't think that's something that we need to keep talking about. We've finished the conversation around that. We've got closure around that. We're done. I think we're complete here, and move on. Okay, let me see if somebody's got some things they're saying. Annika, I think that's it. I generally don't repeat when I'm heard and acknowledged. Amen. Christine said, amen. So guilty with my kids and ex-husband. I know it. Remember, here's what I'll leave you with on this. Remember, human nature is we all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. And we want to be acknowledged. Okay? So if you're in any relationship, friendship, relationship with your parents, relationship with your kids, but especially if we're talking about a relationship with an intimate partner, the last thing you want to do is end up turning into somebody who is a nag, repeating themselves, beating a dead horse. There's nothing more frustrating. Even if you're somebody who does this, you know that if somebody does it to you, it's frustrating. Even when I spent that period of my life doing it, when somebody was doing it with me, I knew it and it was frustrating. So look and remember, first of all, we do it because we've got some insecurity, some fear going on, that this is important to us and we really want to be heard and we really would like this acknowledged. So understand that it's kind of fear coming up for us, and then make sure that you're being really clear in what you're saying. Some people talk all the way around something and they're not getting the confirmation they need that they're being heard because the person really doesn't know what the hell they're talking about or what the point is that they're trying to make. Be confident enough in yourself to speak clearly, think about what it is that you're trying to say, tell the full truth, be authentic, and put it out there. And then either see if you're heard or ask. Simply say, could you tell me what you've heard? You know, we've talked a lot in the past in the 80s around mirroring. Some of that's a little irritating to me, that mirroring process. But it really can be helpful to say, you know, just straight up, I don't want to keep repeating myself, and this is really important to me that you've heard me. Could you just let me know either that you've heard me or what I've said? Could we do that? Because I really want to be able to just let it go now. Or, you know, come to some resolution. Ask for what you need. It's a really simple process. Let me look at this here again. Oh, Annika. Thank you. She said I look beautiful. Yeah, wearing the groovy shirt for the TV show and had to like curl the hair. So thank you. That's sweet. Does that make sense, you guys? We always want to go back and look at how we are showing up. So if you're somebody where this is resonating because you are that person who is repeating yourself, nagging, beating a dead horse, stop it. It's frustrating. And if what you need, if the reason that you're doing it is because this feels important to you, then say it. Say, this is important to me. Is this a good time with no distractions where you could just listen to me for a few minutes? Be clear on what you're saying. Get to the point. Ask if they could repeat back what they've heard. And then your job is let it go. You have no control over whether, even if somebody's heard you, whether they agree with you, whether they're going to do it, whether they're going to follow through. Whether that scares the heck out of you or not, we need to accept that and move on. You have no control over that. If somebody breaks agreements, if somebody consistently says, I hear you, and then just goes off and does something opposite, you've got a different problem on your hands, don't you? Now we're looking at requirements and deal breakers. Okay. And the other thing is, if you're dealing with people in your life that are constantly repeating themselves and beating a dead horse, be willing first to look and say to yourself, am I acknowledging them? Am I letting them know that what they're saying is important? Am I really listening? And am I letting them know that I've heard them? Am I giving them that feedback? Do that first. And if you are, like my beautiful client, Joe Karuba, then be willing to speak up and shut that conversation down. Do it calmly, kindly, and firmly. We're done speaking about this. We've talked about it. We talked all the way through. We have resolution. We don't need to loop back through this. We're done. Okay? All right, you guys. So nice to see all of you here today. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon.